Hi there, I'm Luca and welcome on our culinary journey. Today, it's all about the meat sauce. There's a traditional Italian sauce called Bolognese, made from, well, ground beef and herbs and tomatoes. And in Italy, there are very many different variations. Well, today, we're going to explore 3 of them, actually using different meats. We're going to make one with beef, we're going to make one with chicken, and make one with pork, kind of giving different flavors to each of them. All over pasta, all absolutely wonderful. I have 2 great guests that are going to enjoy everything, and we're going to talk a little bit about show dogs in the next culinary journey. So we have a lot of cool stuff going on. So with that being said, the water's boiling for the pasta, the pan's ready, the meat is ground. Guess what? Your culinary journey starts now. Hey, welcome back to our culinary journey. I'm Luca and we're here with Paul and Dayle. Paul and Dayle are going to be my guests today on this culinary journey. How you both doing today?
Fine.
Ready? You ready for some food?
You bet.
All right, wonderful. Well, we're going to be talking about Bolognese, which is a meat dish. And today's these 3 dishes we're going to do, one with beef, one with chicken, and one with pork, are going to be really interesting variations on the theme. The first one we're going to do, and it's really simple, is the traditional Bolognese, which is a ground beef sauce. Now, so many variations. You go in different parts of Italy, you find so many different variations. This is one that my mom always made for us. So I hope you enjoy it, or else we're going to have to tell Mom that. You know. Okay, exactly. So they're going to like it no matter what I do to it now. Now, while I'm getting this started and trying to get this lit, maybe we'll move it to the back stove. Oh, there you go. Sometimes you just got to threaten it. While we're getting this lit, and I'm going to get the ground beef, talk a little bit about, Paul, you have show dogs, or you raise dogs, or how does that work?
Yes.
Okay, keep talking about it. I'll go get the beef.
We raise and show Cairn Terriers. We have one dog right now that's out specialing. He's a Finnish champion, and he's accumulated quite a few breed points, and he will be shown as a competitor at the Eukanuba Special National Championship in Long Beach, California.
That's awesome.
December 12 and 13. And we will be there to see him strut his stuff.
Now, it's quite an amazing grouping of people, too. I mean, there's a lot of people that go see show dogs and see shows and stuff like that, right? I mean,
yeah. Right.
You're talking about almost I liken it sometimes to NASCAR type setups. Everybody goes with their campers because you're traveling cross country.
Right. Yeah.
You set up for a couple of days. You go to the shows. You meet other people.
They
It must be a blast.
RVs.
Dogs.
Yeah.
Really?
Thousands of dogs. RVs.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, let's. That's great. Hopefully we'll have a couple of pictures of your dogs so we can show people near the end of the show. And what we're going to do is, in our Bolognese sauce, what I basically have right here is some ground beef, some extra virgin olive oil. We're going to salt and pepper the beef real quickly. All right? We're going to saute down the beef. Now, by salting the beef directly, we're going to end up getting some. We're going to be getting some right out of it, some extra moisture and extra fat. So that'll be coming out, and we'll let that cook down a little bit. Now we want to get the beef brown all the way through, and we're going to actually remove it and start our sauce in there. One thing I don't remove, and what you'll find a lot of people do remove, is the actual the fat from the sauce. You've watched my show enough times if you've watched it before, and know that I don't take bacon fat away. I don't take beef fat away. If you're getting something like an 80-20 beef, it's not going to be super fatty. You're going to have enough fat in there that will add to the flavors you're working with. And it's all, fat is flavor, right? And that's the way it's supposed to be. Fat is flavor, and that's the way I go. If I find that's a little much, sometimes I take a little bit out, but I got some nice extra virgin olive oil in there to kind of go with the flow also. So let's get that all sauteed in there. I'm breaking up the beef as we go. There we go. So have you had a meat sauce or a bolognese sauce before? Yes? No? No?
Yes.
You have?
In Korea, where it was pretty awful, and at your place, which was fabulous.
I'm so glad you did it in that direction and not the other. You said Korea?
Yes,
All right.
in the big city of Gumi.
Okay. And they make meat sauces over there. Was it an Italian restaurant?
No, it was the Hotel Gumasan, which didn't have very much to recommend it.
Okay.
The factory staff found out where I was staying and promptly moved me to a nice hotel
Nice.
in the town rather than up on the mountainside.
It's a good thing that we're not shown there. You know, if I show...
This was a lot of years ago.
Okay. All right, so it's cooking down. You see where it's all those flavors cooking down. Now, at this point, this is where I'm going to add some dry herbs and spices. What I want to do is reconstitute the dry herbs and spices. We have a little bit of basil, oregano, and basil and oregano right there. And the oils and the liquid are actually going to reconstitute the herbs and then give them flavor. Now, there's something I always give out as a tip, is if you have dry herbs and spices on your shelf, make sure every 6 months you're rotating that stock out, because really they lose a lot of flavor along the way. So then adding them to the dish, you're really not getting anything from them. They just get dried out, and there's really no flavor in there. All right, so we have our meat cooked down. What I'm going to do is, instead of actually removing the meat, we have all this good loving in here. We're going to add our shallots right to the fat that's in there. All right, we're going to let that cook down and cook down with the meat. So we got dry herbs, we got shallots, and we have our beef. Really nice and simple. What I'm going to do now, while that's cooking down, is I'm going to start getting ready my padelle. Now, padelle is a wide noodle pasta. Now, you can make your own, which takes a long time, or you could buy lasagna sheets or make lasagna sheets, and then just cut your wide noodles off of there. What you do is basically cut 2 to 3 inches style ribbons that are going to fold around the bolognese sauce. See how nice that is? And if you're going to be holding them for a while, if you're going to hold them, a little cornstarch or flour on there is going to help them not stick together, even maybe a little cornmeal. But we're going to do just 1 sheet for each of us, because we have a lot of food to have, okay? So I'm not going to give you too much in each segment. Unless you want more. I can make as much as you want. So Gail, how long have you been doing show dogs and that kind of stuff?
Since 91.
91. So,
We got married, and his proposal was, would I marry him and move to Dallas, Texas? And I said if I could have Cairn Terriers.
13 of them.
Oh, so you weren't into it beforehand?
I was into dogs, but not at this level.
Okay. All right. So we have our shallots. We have our meat cooked down. Next thing we're going to add is a little bit of plum tomato. And we just need a spoon to kind of get those in there. This is some Italian plum tomato we're just going to put right in there. And we're going to let that cook down. These are called San Marzano tomatoes. These tomatoes, what's great about them, they have a lot of natural sweetness to them. They're yummy, they're delicious. They don't need sugar or long cooking time. All they really need is just a little bit of heat, and they just have enough flavor. So we're going to let our bolognese cook down. We're going to get our pappardelle in the water. You're going to drink your wine. And we're going to get ready even to make our chicken in the next segment. So don't go away while this cooks down. We'll just kind of relax, and we'll see you in a culinary minute. Hey everybody, welcome back to our culinary journey. I have some salted water here that we're putting our pappardelle in, and we got our first sauce that we're cooking down. We got our bolognese. So I'm here with Paul and Dayle. We were talking about show dogs and talking about all those cool things. They love their pasta at home, right? The dogs
Yes.
do?
Oh, they sure do.
All right, so we got our bolognese there. I'm going to pop in the fresh lasagna sheets really quickly in here. Now, fresh pasta doesn't take that long to cook at all, so we're just kind of just getting it cooked or getting it warmed up almost. We had it on a nice boil. We'll kind of reduce that down. We'll just get a couple more pieces in there, let that finish up. While that's finishing, I'm going to start moving on to my next one. We'll let that kind of cook down. We'll move on to our next segment, which is going to be the chicken bolognese. Now, I always thought how great it is to have beef bolognese, right? And then I always said, you know, we need a healthier alternative. And then, you know, some people say, well, I don't want to have the beef and the fat and the yada, yada, yada. Well, ground chicken is great, too. Or you could do turkey. This is great with both. But how do you make it a little bit different? Well, that's what we're going to do right now. So let me get water in a pan. We got our pasta cooking, our bolognese. I'm going over here to the fridge to get out my ground chicken, which is basically that. I actually asked my butcher to ground up some chicken. He said, you have some nice breasts of chicken, just grind it down. Actually, have them leave, sometimes on the breasts of chicken, or you'll see like little strips of fat on one side or the other. Have them leave that on there because that's going to add flavor to what you're doing. Again, just like the beef, it's not totally lean. What we're doing is looking for a little flavor. So leave a little bit of fat, and we're going to get that in there and let that cook down. All right. So let's get our pasta out of here, and we'll get our pasta into our sauce. Now, the Italians love to coat their pasta with sauce, as opposed to vice versa. You don't put your sauce over your pasta the majority of the time. You put your pasta in your sauce, and you mix it around, and then you serve it. Okay? You want to get all those flavors onto the sauce. Now, you don't have to use pad by Dayle. You can use almost anything you like. We're going to be using penne or rigatoni for the next dish. So anything's possible, right? There we go. All right. So let's mix in our sauce. Hopefully we did a nice job. Hopefully this doesn't taste anything like the one you had in, where did you say?
Korea.
I think he said that one was green.
It was green.
It was green?
Yes.
Okay, I don't think green was the color that they should have been
I
shooting
don't think
for.
so.
What we're going to do is the last minute add some fresh herbs. Now, remember early on, we had dry herbs at the beginning, and now we wanted those to reconstitute. But fresh herbs is something we add on later in the dish because we want the fresh herbs to really spark with flavor. And the last thing I do, green. Well, that's supposed to be.
Different kind of green.
The last thing I do is want to wilt in some spinach for a little color, contrast, and a little bit more flavor. So we have all those involved. All right. So there you go. That's our first dish. Let me get some of those on a plate for you. Bring this back over here. Ta-da. Look at that. A little bit of meat sauce on top. Try to get you a little Parmigiano cheese in a second, but just give you, hey, you might need a fork and knife. What kind of host am I? So for those of you who are just tuning in and haven't seen the show before, we're here live at Monadnock Flooring, which is my second home for cooking. It's Monadnock Flooring on Ralston Street in Keene, and I call it my home. It's like you're coming to my house, I'm cooking you a meal, and it just happens to be people around to make sure that we're doing a good job, and watching us. So, it's not the easiest thing to do, to be running back and forth and entertain at the same time. But I love this, and it's a lot of fun. And then we'll get you your forks, like I forgot. Bingo. All right, start enjoying. We'll find your cheese in a second. That's our first course. Our second course now, we have the chicken going in, and we're actually sauteing that. And just like we did before, same concept. I'm laying the chicken saute, less fat in the dish, so that you'll see less fat come out of it. But I'm also going to let this cook down, and then I'm going to get in some items to give it even more flavor. So also a little less flavor in a chicken dish, right? So we need to give it a little more flavor. We always go with our favorite, the shallots. So we'll cut some shallots to go in there. We don't need a lot. We'll just let those cook down. We'll cut in some roasted garlic because it's already cooked. How is that? How is the? You enjoying it? Beautiful. Cut in some roasted garlic, and we make sure we cook the chicken all the way through. All right, you want to cook it all the way through. Now, by the time you're done, you're eventually going to cook this chicken all the way through anyway. But you want to get there about 85 to 90% of the way. If you see a couple of pieces that aren't cooked through and you notice I'm breaking it down little by little with my wooden spoon, and I'm using wooden spoons on all these kind of coated pans, because if you're using any type of metal in here, you're going to start scratching the bottom and ruin the coating. And what's great, they're non-stick, but they're really high quality. It's this Swiss diamond ware that I use. It's just incredible. All right, so we got that in there. We're going to add a little bit of white wine, and maybe not white wine. Oh, let's do a little bit, sweeten it up with a little bit of marsala. How's that? Let's do a little bit of marsala, and we'll just saute that down. And then some grape tomatoes. Now the grape tomatoes, you want to use tomato, but you want to do it a little bit different. You want to make it look a little healthier. You want to give it a different feel. The grape tomatoes are going to be the thing. Now I'm going to kind of add a touch of cream to this because I want to bring this whole sauce together. But the tomatoes are going to give it some nice color already. See what a bright and vibrant dish that is? All right. So you think you're going to finish that all, or am I going to give you the next spot first before then?
It will go away.
It will be gone before then? All right. you might not get a chance to taste them all. Now, I'm not adding the grape tomatoes in too early, because if you do, they're going to break down. And I don't want them broken down all the way. I just want them to start getting some heat. So we have a little salt and pepper. And no dry herbs on this one. This is just where we're going to go. The last touch is going to be our cream, and we're going to let that reduce down. Just a little bit of heavy cream. We'll just kind of bring everything together. And when we come back, what I'm going to do is finish this with just a little bit of cheese, something new on the cheese variety that you might not usually think of with a pasta sauce. Some mascarpone cheese as this cream reduces down. We'll finish it with that and some baby arugula, and we'll get some rigatoni in there. In the meantime, enjoy what you're doing, and we'll see you in a culinary minute. Hey everybody, welcome back. What I'm doing here is adding some fresh herbs to our chicken. So we made the Bolognese at first. Paul, Dayle, what did you think about that today?
Delicious.
You enjoyed it?
Super good.
Awesome. So we did that, and then what we're going to be doing is our chicken Bolognese. With what we have in there is the ground chicken. We have tomatoes. We have fresh herbs. I'm adding some baby arugula. And I mentioned this right before we go on a break. We're going to kind of top it off with some mascarpone cheese. There's a little bit of cream in there too, some sherry wine. And then we'll add a little bit of grated parmigiano. And that mascarpone, what I'm going to do, I'm at the point where I'm good to go. Now, this is not a heavy sauce pasta. You know, it's not super creamy, it's not super saucy, but it does have a lot of nice flavors. So like our other pasta, the one we made before, we like to add our pasta to the sauce, and we'll let that cook down. Now, in this back stove, what I'm going to get cooking now is something really interesting. It's going to be sage and pork and just yummy, yummy flavors. So let's let this coat just for a minute or two while it's off. And I want to get all the flavors around the pasta. Now this is a pre-boiled rigatoni. So back here, we're going to have actually a little more fat. I want to show you a cool thing of not using any oil at all. We're going to add a little salt and pepper, a little kosher salt, and then we're going to get our sausage meat in the pan. And I'll just give you an idea of how much moisture is drawn out of sausages and meats, and how much fat could be in there, that you don't even need to use oil if you have a nonstick pan. It's something that my mom used to do a lot of when we were younger, just because she didn't want to waste a good olive oil in there. She was cheap. It wasn't being smart. Sorry, Mom. Anyway, we're going to let that kind of sear a little bit on one side, and then it'll start moving around just like the other ones. And we'll get this on the plate for you guys to try. Actually, this is one of my favorite dishes. I love Bolognese chicken. I love the colors. I love the flavors. And you could do a couple of different things. You could add tomatoes to this. You could add carrots to this. Actually, you'll find a lot of Bolognese dishes, they use carrots for the sweetness. I'm not the biggest carrot fan, but when it comes to Bolognese, it's not a bad thing to have. Here goes a little grated cheese. Enjoy. All right. And that's for me.
Yes, please.
And then we'll go back over here to our pork, which is searing. I'm going to get some moisture out of there. Let's just turn down the pan a little bit. And wow, these are kind of pretty lean, because usually I get a lot more water coming out of there. Is that yummy? Paul, thanks for the sound effects. Those work out just right. You know, I'm liking the way, I like the way that's coming out. Let's break out all this. We're going to dry roast it. Wow, it's amazing. I might have just had the pan up just a little too high. It just showed you to control your pan a little bit more, and you would have got more moisture out of this. But we're cooking this down, and we're searing in some nice flavors into this. In here, we're actually going to use the rest of our roasted garlic. Again, the same basis in flavors, right guys? It's the same kind of feel throughout. We're going to go again to the dry herbs. Now remember, if you're buying really good sausage, you also have some fennel flavor in there that's already in there. And we're going to finish this off with sage. So let's go over here. Let's see, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? No, let's get our shallots. There we go. You having a good time? All right, good, good. I know it's because of the wine, but that's fine. See, and that, again, we're using the same basic concept on all of these.
Oh, I just feel, don't try this at home.
What? Oh, come on, this is so easy. And that's what's great about it. It's such an easy thing to prepare that you just love the way it comes out. Okay. All right. Right there, we got our We got our sausage cooking, a little bit of sherry wine to go with the sausage. Just a little. There we go. There's a good amount there. And then we're going to finish this one up with some plum tomatoes. Got some plum tomatoes coming in a second. I'm going to add some mushrooms to this too that I'm going to saute on the side with some plum tomatoes. Let's just get that. All right, let me get another saute pan out. Now, those of you watching the show for the first time, the set was actually built for me by Monadnock Flooring and Burbank Tile and Vermont Custom Cabinets. And while the tomatoes and the mushrooms are coming over to me, you guys see this really cool thing where you push the set and it just kind of slides right back in. It's so cool. I get the best of all worlds. That's right. All right. So let's kind of cook this down a little bit more with the sherry wine and the herbs. And mushrooms will get here eventually. Usually I ask for it like 3 or 4 times and they show up. There we go. Thank you. All right, there it is. You all need one of these in your kitchen. And then my tomatoes are in here. Okay. They're somewhere around. No, they're not. All right. I'll find them later. Oh, they're over here. Oh, okay. Hey, guys. How you doing? All right. So this is why I have people off camera for me to get me everything. And what you are missing at home is the little studio audience that I've grown to have today. It's getting bigger and bigger. Some fresh tomatoes, which we're going to add to this. Now we're going to let this cook down a little bit. I want the tomatoes to stew with the sherry wine and the herbs that are in here. We're going to finish that with sage. So we'll get this cooking all the way up. We're going to saute some portobello mushrooms to add to the dish. They're going to finish eating that. When we come back, we're going to plate the pork and say goodbye and add the fresh sage. And life is good. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, and welcome back. In our final installment of Bolognese, we have hot and sweet sausage, mushrooms, sherry wine, and I'm tossing our pasta in there right now. And then the last thing I want to do in there is some fresh sage. It's really pungent and wonderful, and some great flavors. You don't want to overuse it. Sometimes it's really nice. Just tear a little bit in. I'm just going to break it up. It's so strong and flavorful. I'm going to add it in the last minute. Kind of get that nice freshness kind of going through, and we'll let that cook just totally. Paul, Dayle, I want to thank you for joining us today. Hope you had a good time.
Oh,
Very.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us.
Time. Awesome. So you learned to make 3 Bologneses. You can make them at home. Mm-hmm. I'm sure even the pups will enjoy it too, right?
Oh, yes.
You never know.
Yeah.
Spaghetti hounds.
The spaghetti hounds. There might be a whole new breed of dog we don't know about. So this got a little spice to it, a little bit of sage, a little bit of mushroom, some great flavors. A little grated cheese. And while you enjoy that with your wine, without your forks, yeah, that's a good thing. I don't like get you a couple more forks. Actually, you're going to work on spoons. Remember, it's a low-budget show, guys. You know, you got to take whatever I give you.
No problem. No problem.
And thanks for coming to my house here at Monadnock Flooring Studios. And we really had a great time. So thank you again.
Thank you very much for having us.
And we'll see you on our next culinary journey. Oh, Pat, round of applause. Yes, more.